Hey guys, I want to share with you 9 core elements to performance. These are key critical factors for you to perform better in all areas of your life. Typically, we as men, when we think about performance, we think about sports. And for sports, here are the 3 main elements. It is your natural talent, your skill level that you develop over time, but also the sheer amount of effort that you put in. That's what typically in the sports world performance is made out of. In the everyday life level of performance, I'm talking about how you perform in your business, how you perform in your relationship with your wife, how you perform as a father, and everything else that you do, your hobbies, your experiences, the fun stuff that you do. Every one of those has a level of performance, and there's 9 core elements that make up performance. It's something that I started to study at a very young age. I was less than 15 years old when I started to study brain science and performance, and I was able to do things that the vast majority of kids at that time were not able to do. I could ace my exams without having to study. I had a photographic memory. I was able to learn things a lot faster. And what I realized was that performance is actually a formula. It's a system. And kids would ask me all the time, Pradeep, how are you able to do the things that you're able to do? I was able to squat guys that had 40, 50 pounds more muscle than I did. And I was able to squat better and heavier than them just because I learned the elements of performance. So if you want to perform better in your life, here are the 9 core elements. And each one of these elements has a significant impact on your level of performance. They're based on science, they're based on performance psychology, and I highly encourage you to pay attention to all 9 of them. The first one is accuracy. Whatever you do, you need to be accurate. So if you're communicating, for example, if that's something that you want to perform better in, your words need to be accurate. The message that you're trying to get across needs to be accurate. The second element is quality. So if you're, again, communicating, I'm just using that as a simple example right now. If you're communicating, is the tone of your voice of high quality? Is the pitch of your voice high quality? If you're doing something else, if you're building something, is that quality? If you're building a shed, is the way that you are building the shed of high quality? So quality is a key element of performance. The third element is quantity, and that is sheer how much can you do? How much can you actually output? So that's a simple one. So if it takes you, for example, if you're working on a file, on a client file or customer file, and you can do 5 a week, can you speed that up to 7 a week? So how much can you actually take on? The fourth element is a really, really important one, which is called unintended consequences. So what ends up happening is when we are performing, sometimes there's unintended consequences, and majority of those consequences are not good. So we want to reduce those unintended consequences. For example, if you're a high-performing business owner or an entrepreneur and you're out there working all the time and you're getting stuff done, but you're spending less time with your family and your family is getting upset, or you're getting disconnected from your wife or your kids, that's an unintended consequence. You want to minimize that, because if that's actually going up, if your unintended consequences are going up, that is actually reducing your performance, because ultimately it's going to catch up with you at the end of the day. You can go on for years and then realize that you're estranged from your wife and your kids in this particular example. So that's one of the core elements there when it comes to performance. Intended results is one of the most important things when it comes to performance. So what you are doing, is it actually getting the intended result that you're looking for? If you are working your butt off, working 12 hours a day to make more money in your business, are you actually making more money in your business? That's the intended result. So are you actually achieving that? The next element is feelings. Now, this is an interesting one for us guys. Why do we even care about feelings? Because feelings are important for 2 reasons. A, feelings can actually improve your performance. If you are feeling crappy, your performance drops. Think about this. Let's just say you're doing something and all of a sudden your kid calls you up and says, hey, look, Dad, I got into a little bit of an accident and I hurt myself. All of a sudden you're feeling like, what the heck happened? And your performance, whatever task you were doing, your performance will drop, guaranteed. On the flip side of things, feelings are important because it's a quality of life. So if you are going through your life, through work, and you're going through Let me be a little bit more specific here. Sorry. If you're going through your workday, performing at a high level, but your feelings are not that great, you're not feeling great, you're not feeling excited, you're not feeling happy, you're not feeling joyful, well, what's the point? What's the point of that? What's the point of working 12 hours a day and feeling crappy? There is no point to that. So feelings have an important part to do with performance. Then there's energy. And energy comes at 4 different levels. There's mental, there's emotional, there's physical, there's spiritual energy. But you require energy to actually perform. So if you have low energy, your performance is going to drop. If you have high energy, your performance is going to be better. So energy is a key factor there. It's one of the things that is easily missed out when it comes to performance. Then the 8th element is resources. So resources can include time, it can include money, it could include some other, maybe it's a natural resource, whatever it might be, but resources that are required to perform. And the whole point of resources is that you want to optimize your resources. So you want to use less resources, less time, less energy, less skill set, whatever it might be, to maximize your results. That's the whole point there. Because if you're using more resources to get less results, you're basically wasting a lot of stuff, and that's not what you want to do. So performance is about optimization. It's not necessarily about wasting. And the last element is speed, and that is essentially how fast can you get the job done. So again, if it takes you 5 days to build a shed, well, can you speed it up to 4 days? Right. For vast majority of us guys, we're only building sheds once or twice or maybe 3 times in our life. But if you're doing it for work, if it's part of your occupation or your business and you're building sheds all the time, well, can you reduce that speed reduce the time it takes you and increase the speed for you to be able to build that shed? So these are the 9 elements. If you bring these 9 elements together, why is this important? It's important because you can now identify which element that you are lacking or falling behind in terms of your performance, and what elements you're actually doing well in, and how to actually change those elements. Because when we take a look at performance overall, we say, well, I just need to perform better. That's what ends up happening when I come into organizations typically, or work with entrepreneurs or executives or business owners, someone who wants to be better high performing, and they've already worked with a high performance individual or a team or an organization. The first thing I ask them is, what are the core elements that you are missing out or you're falling behind on? And they can't tell me because no one has explained the core elements of performance to them. And by the sheer fact of knowing what those elements are, you're going to be able to increase and improve your performance. So if it's speed, then you know you need to change your speed. If it's accuracy, you know you need to change your accuracy. If it's unintended consequences, you know you need to change your unintended consequences. So identify those core elements, implement them, improve on those core elements. And over time, what you're going to see is if you take a look at each element, you rate yourself on it and improve yourself over time, you are going to be the master of all masters. And your performance is going to absolutely skyrocket.